Alex here, and welcome to episode 2 of Mythical Monsters in March. Today, we're on prompt number 3 of the challenge, Gargoyle. Now for my inspiration for the piece, I'm overhauling an old failed sketch of mine and taking some heavy inspiration from some recent concept art I've been collecting. Just like last episode, we're starting the video off by jumping into our line art pass. I figured the sketching phase wouldn't have been that interesting, so I didn't bother recording it to save me time and a little bit of some storage. If you were interested in that process, I'll have them down below on my Ća ara page. There you'll be able to see the high quality images and my step-by-step illustration process for this artwork. After getting our line art knocked out, we're diving into our color mapping. First with cleaning up our silhouette and experimenting with painting rough stone-like texture to cover our form. Here I'm relying on our line art to inform me of our creature's 3D plane changes and stone structure, and guide my thought process for tackling highlight edges and shadow forms. It's really key to have a solid idea of your light source in this stage, so I'm additionally adding in some water reflections, effects on both of our lantern light and our directional moonlight. My whole aim and goal for this is to try and create a stone texture that feels kinda cold and wet, and also blends with our purple and shadows. In our scene, it will be raining in the background, so we'll need to respect how that will impact our surface textures, including water. Water tends to darken objects and give them a reflective coating. So with this in mind, you can create some really cool mirroring effects, depending on the surface itself and the lighting reflecting off of it. I'm definitely not skilled enough to calculate or quite visualize how to pull off these highly detailed reflections to a professional degree, like in actual splash art, but I do have a rough understanding of how they would function, so I'm just going to do my best to describe that here. Now with our pillars mapped out, and the very simple rendering applied to them, we can move on to the background. At this point, I basically ended up just jumping around the image a lot and correcting light sources, adding in some additional details like surface highlights, mist effects, etc. I didn't quite plan this cohesively enough to assist me during the commentary of this video, so we're just gonna shift into a time lapse for this next bit, just till I get to the next painting stage. Now we're coming in with some more detailed work on the hand, and sharpening the glow of the lantern's light from below. Speaking of the lantern, I really wanted to do my best to capture the metal highlights. They largely can be responsible for creating a believable glow effect and giving the viewer a good feel for how intense or dim a light source actually is. Perspective was definitely a challenging part of this drawing. For some reason, I decided to completely freehand it and not follow any guides, so I would be free to warp it in order to play against the already altered perspective in our Gargoyle. In the end, did it end up turning out okay? Well, that's an answer you'll have to give me in the comments section below. I can't really decide. I think it turned out okay, and it describes it, but it's not perfect. It's something I still need to work on with getting my perspective correct. After adding in the pillar's reflected highlights due to the rainwater, I move on to our final step, taking note of everything that I feel needs a little more work and attention, and then working through that checklist. I find that this strategy is very helpful for keeping you on pace during the nitty-gritty final hours of a drawing, where you feel very fatigued from working on it. As you notice, our Gargoyle seems to be recently awakened, not crafted like the others. The art of creating these golems has been lost for centuries, yet this one has been recently awakened and stalking the rooftops of the city, siphoning all of the oil from the city's lanterns and causing havoc to anyone who dares stand in its way. And with that, the drawing is basically complete. That's the kind of gist of a small story that I came up with. I've got a little bit more that goes into the story, but it would take longer to explain. I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode, and look forward to the next one, which will be on a Yeti, or unless I redesign them to be something different. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with the Yeti idea or change up the design to do something kind of fun for the final episode.